Leaving Cert Higher Level 2014 Phase 3 Sample, Paper 2, Question 6A. If you remember, question 6 is split up into two possible questions to do, 6A or 6B. One is more about proof and showing the proof of something, and usually the second part, 6B, will be about using your understanding of geometry, in particular your junior certificate geometry, to be able to prove something. In this question, you're basically being asked about proof by contradiction, and to explain what it means, what it is, and give an example. The basic definition is that proof by contradiction is a proof that establishes truth or validity of that proposition by showing that were it actually to be considered false, incorrect, then a contradiction occurs, and by virtue of the fact that contradiction occurs, it can't be false. It wouldn't be an option for it to be false, therefore it is true. In terms of showing an example, well, there are a variety of possibilities of how you could show an example of a proof by contradiction. And one of them, which is to show that root 2 is not a rational number, is a proof that is required to be known for the purpose of the syllabus and completing exams. However, for this question, you just give any example of proof by contradiction, and there's a very simple one that you can use. I'm going to prove to you that it is not acceptable or possible to multiply an inequality, both sides of an inequality or across an inequality, by a negative number. So we have a situation where 5 is greater than -2, and we just start off with a basic, clear statement that is true. Now, if we think it's possible to actually multiply by -1, and for there to be no problem with that, we're going to show that there's a problem for us to assume that. So, if I multiply both sides by a minus number, I'll just go with simple -1, what happens? We end up with a situation where -5 is greater than +2. But this is clearly not correct. We have a situation where as soon as we multiply that by that -1 on both sides, we have an inequality that does not hold, is not true. And you will remember that, generally speaking, you were taught that if you were to multiply both sides by a negative number, that you should actually change the direction of the inequality from being pointing in one direction to another. So instead of having it pointing, in this instance, to the right, it's pointing to the left, such that we have -5 is less than 2. Anyway, the point is that because you have a situation where if we multiply by a negative, the inequality is not true. Therefore, the point is that multiplying by a negative number is not possible. All I would say is it's a reasonably sort of weak example. There are others, but it's the simplest one to go through. You just need to make sure you give some simple explanation as to why it's the case. So the proposition was that you may not multiply an inequality by negative. So we chose to look at seeing that if that is actually false, i.e. that you can multiply by a negative, we showed that we get a contradiction because -5 is not greater than 2. Therefore, this idea of multiplying by a negative is effectively not possible. That we may not, in order that the inequality holds.